Welcome once again to our live stream in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, coming from our outstanding studios, as always, at First Star Logistics. And we want to hear from you. I'd like to find out what's on your mind about the Cincinnati Bengals. They are in phase 2 of the offseason program. And now they've got their rookies and undrafted rookies, drafted rookies, working with the veteran players, and that started this week. It started on Monday, so everybody's working out together, and was able to go down there on Tuesday and witness the workout and catch all the media activity after the workout. Joe Burrow had his first presser after since the Super Bowl, and he had some good things to say, as always. Joe Cool was definitely that, and it was good to see him out there without a brace. He was unencumbered physically. Didn't have any splint on the pinky finger, no brace on the knee. He was moving around pretty darn well. I went down and spent a lot of time watching the offensive line. There were 15 guys out in the football field and a lot of new faces, free agency and draft. And then guys going into year 2 that were drafted last year in the 2nd, 4th, and 6th round. So the offensive line is being put back together as such, reconstructed. It's going to be interesting and fun to watch that. Let me just highlight a couple of things, couple of players that I was impressed with during the course of the rookie minicamp that they had, and then working together in phase 2 with the veterans. Tyson Anderson, this kid, 5th round pick out of Toledo, a MAC player, ran a 4.36. And I'll tell you what, to me, he's 6'2", about 210 pounds, long. I think he'd be a heck of a press corner. I asked him how much cornerback he's played. He played it in high school. He looked pretty fluid out there. Can flip his hips. He's got long arms. When you have corners that have length to them and get their hands on wide receivers very, very quickly coming off the line of scrimmage and reroute them and get them out of sync in their route pattern, man, that's a big advantage. I'm impressed with what I saw out of him. Dax Hill was extremely impressive as well. The thing about Dax Hill, boy, can he accelerate coming in and out of breaks, in and out of cuts. He has got unbelievable 0 to 60 mile an hour acceleration, and he accelerates in a very, very quick fashion. Cam Taylor-Britt missed one of the days, a little bit of an illness, but he's another one that has some unbelievable potential to him. I think they really did a good job in their secondary. They did sign Abu Darame Soare. He was a first-year player out of Colgate. He was the one that came to rookie minicamp unsigned as a total free agent, and they offered him a contract. He was the only one that was signed to a contract after that rookie workout period. And his deal is 5'9", 172 pounds. That's why teams were a little bit shy, I guess, gun shy about giving him an opportunity. But he did get a contract. There's a good number of people in the secondary that are going to be competing. Carson Wells, free agent linebacker out of Colorado, 6'3", 240-plus pounds. Reminds me a little bit of Jordan Evans, who the Bengals have had on their special teams, a big contributor to special teams, as well as packages at the linebacker position defensively. I think this kid has got an opportunity to make a little bit of noise. Ben Brown, an undrafted offensive lineman from Mississippi. I like the guy. I think, again, it's underwear ball. It's shorts and T-shirts. So you really can't tell everything you need to be able to figure out if a guy can or can't play until he gets those shoulder pads and helmet on. But you can see, all right, do his feet give him an opportunity to get there and play and make plays? Yes, he's got really good feet. His hand placement's good. He's got good pop, good strength, good, gets those hands on you. He controls you a little bit. I think he's got an opportunity. Cordell Volson, the draft pick out of North Dakota State, another guy, big trunk, big lower body, very, very powerful kid. And football is very important to him. It is a very, very significant factor in his life. There's no doubt about it. And that's the case with a lot of these guys. But Volson, you can tell, loves football, loves everything about it, and loves to work. Jeffrey Gunter, the 7th-round pick out of Coastal Carolina, shows some potential. Zach Carter does as well, the 3rd-rounder. He's up to about 290 pounds. So I think he's trying to put on as much weight as he possibly can and still be able to move. At 290 pounds, he still get that first step explosiveness. And, at 290, you can think about making some noise as a 3 technique. I think he probably even wants to put on a little bit more weight. And with the frame that he's got, I asked him after one of the workouts, I said, what are you weighing about? What's your weight at this point in time? He says, I'm at 290. I said, geez, you look like you weigh about 270. I mean, he's carrying it really well. That tells you he's got an opportunity to carry a little bit more. I think he's going to be a factor for him. 3rd-round draft pick, good pick. Kid out of Mississippi, Tisdale, defensive end, 6'5", 285, ran a 4.6. What? Man, so how come he didn't get drafted? Well, I guess there was some kind of personality clash with a coach, and those things happen. And unfortunately, he got caught in that. Now, that's a hole. That's something you have to deep dive into a little bit and see what it was, why it happened, all those kind of things. But I'm talking about from physical traits. This guy's got some. There's no doubt about it. And all these guys aren't going to make the team, but you have on a week-to-week basis, but you have a 16-person practice squad where you can take guys like this and really develop them. And that's what you're looking to, not only have your 53-man roster and then your active game day out of that 53-man roster, but what kind of a player are you going to have in your practice squad? Because that's the first place you pluck guys. Guys are activated from the practice squad on a week-by-week basis. They can be promoted and then placed down in the practice squad. Thing is, you have to clear waivers before you can go to the practice squad, though. So you don't want to be make a steady living of putting the same guys up and down on a fairly regular basis and think that they're going to pass waivers continually. So going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see who ends up really making a big splash. Honestly, looking at the veteran offensive line, I was impressed with what I saw. Ted Karras is a guy that's going to kind of take control of things. He's going to be the quarterback of the offensive line. He knows what it's supposed to look like. He won Super Bowls, and that's never a bad thing. A couple of Super Bowls for him. Played with Tom Brady, and then his compatriot in crime, Ted Karras, is going to be wearing number 64 and wearing number 66 at right guard, Alex Kappa. Same deal. Won a Super Bowl down in Tampa Bay with Tom Brady. Knows what it's supposed to look like. Both these guys are very impressed with the presence that Joe Burrow has, the football IQ Joe Burrow has. These guys are going to be not only leaders of the offensive line, they're going to be locker room leaders. They're going to be leaders of the offensive line room, but they're going to be leaders of the entire locker room as well. They have the instantaneous credibility of being a Super Bowl champion. When you get a ring hanging on your finger, guys pay attention. There's no doubt about it. And they know what the preparation is supposed to be like, what the grind's supposed to be like, and they're gonna impart a lot of that wisdom. And I'm telling you now, Collins, the big right tackle, impressive looking, powerful human being. I mean, this guy, L. Collins, is going to make an impact, and he thinks the world of Frank Pollock. And we were talking in the locker room a little bit, and I said, the impact that your first offensive line coach in the NFL has on you is everlasting. Bill Tiger Johnson was my first offensive line coach. I looked at him as like another dad. And, from a football standpoint, he was a dad. He was my main dad. There's no question about it. And I think that's what Collins feels about Frank Pollock, and couldn't wait to get back working with Frank Pollock. And he was saying that, Frank made him a better football player, he feels. And Frank Pollock worked him hard, worked the offensive line group really hard the first couple of days of practice. He's relentless with his repetition, snap after snap after snap, with the exact same step, the exact same footwork work, the exact same hand placement. And that's where it all starts. It all starts right now at these mini camps, and guys bond on the football field in that regard from a football aspect, and then hanging around off the football field. going places, hanging out together, finding out what they're like, what their families are like. Are they married? Do they have kids? Just basically the overall bonding process starts now, and it's going to be. I am of the same belief that a lot of people are. I think that there's 16 teams in the AFC. At least a dozen of them could probably be a Super Bowl contender, could get in the playoffs and advance to the Super Bowl. Who in the National Football League outside the city of Cincinnati thought the Bengals would advance to the playoffs and then get into the Super Bowl, win in the playoffs and advance all the way to the Super Bowl? I mean, based on the prior 2 years record, nobody outside the city of Cincinnati. So, I mean, everybody in the league is saying, why not us? Why not us? I mean, and the Bengals, their theme was, it is us. Once they got there, they started putting together really good performances in the playoffs, caught fire, and then it is us. So, literally, a dozen or more AFC of the 16 AFC teams are capable of advancing to the Super Bowl. All right, so with that said, the Bengals have their work cut out for them. Not only defending their AFC championship, but they're defending their AFC North Division championship, not just the conference championship, but the division championship. Everybody's got players in the AFC at the quarterback position, at the receiver position, everywhere. Let's go to our questions with these knowledgeable fans. And the first question is from Dan the Man. Do we know who filled in at quarterback for rookie minicamp wearing the red number 7 jersey? The rookie minicamp quarterback that performed in the rookie minicamp was Drew Plitt, 6'2", 206 pounds, out of Ball State, and played. His hometown is Loveland, Ohio. Played in Loveland, so he was the rookie minicamp quarterback, and to my knowledge, did not receive a contract. But he was the one that was out there performing during the rookie minicamp. So that's you have to have a quarterback, and he was the only one. He was out there getting things done as to the best of his ability. It's really intriguing because now you have Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, just the Jay Show. Those guys put together such an outstanding season together. Now it's, what do you tweak? Okay, I've got these things that I feel real good about from a foundational standpoint. What am I going to do to advance our games in terms of added plays, different route combinations? And that's the intriguing thing to me. If the offensive line gives Joe Burrow and his receiving core additional time, they are going to attack areas of the field that they didn't even think they could do last year because it takes some time. Double moves, all those kind of things. If you don't have time to throw the football, it limits how much of the football field you can attack. Now that they've maybe got that improved a little bit, and they can give Joe Burrow more opportunity. Can you imagine the numbers this guy's going to put up if they open the field up even more for Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd? Are you kidding me? It's going to be interesting, to say the least. All right, Doug. Hi, Dave, both you. Dave Burke, obviously, in studio, working as he always does. Do you think the Bates situation had any influence on their draft priorities? You got to think it had some sort of an effect, a factor. I do think, though, Jesse Bates or no Jesse Bates, I do think they felt like they needed to add to the depth in the back end. And when you look at it, Lou Anarumo's defensive packages, you're positionless. I mean, during the course of the offseason here at pressures, at one of the pressures, I asked Lou Anarumo, I said, what do you feel like your base defense was? It wasn't your traditional 4-3-4, 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 4 DBs, or 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers, 4 DBs. It looked like to me, nickel was your base defense. With 5 defensive backs. In some cases, it wasn't all the time. It wasn't 3 corners. It was 3 safeties. So the safety position is very, very big in Lou Anarumo's defensive scheme. And the safeties are almost positionless because they can play safety. They can play, deep middle. They can come down in the box. They can play slot corner. They can do a lot of different things. So I think the fact that Dax Hill was there at 31 when on their draft board they had him going in the top half of the first round. They had him going at like 14 or 15, basically. On their big board, he was like the 14th or 15th ranked player. He was there at 31. They had to do it. Trey Flowers. Look at the role that Trey Flowers played for this defense last year against the tight end. They'd bring him on the football field, and he'd work against the tight end. And also great special teams play for Darren Simmons as a gunner and other things that he did from a special team standpoint. Now, Trey Flowers is a big man. I mean, this dude, he's no joke size-wise. 6'3", 203 pounds. That's a big man. And a guy with that kind of size can run, with those big tight ends. Tyson Anderson, 6'2", 209. Tyson Anderson, I mean, he may be a guy that has coverage ability of a cornerback that you can throw in there as an extra safety in your 3 safety package and let him lock up on tight ends as well. And again, what do you have at the tight end position? Well, you play the Chiefs, you play the Baltimore Ravens, you got Kelsey, you got Andrews. I mean, you got Andrews twice, you have Kelsey once, and all these teams have tight ends. All these teams have tight ends that they can detach formationally and play receiver. So you have to have position versatility. You have to be positionless as such in your defensive backfield because they're positionless at the offensively with these receivers that are big-bodied guys. Some are tight end types, some are receiver types, some are in between types. They can play anywhere. So I think, obviously, the fact that Jesse Bates has gone on record as saying that he's not interested in playing with a franchise tag. And I can understand that. I can appreciate where he's coming from. But boy, when push comes to shove and the season starts and you could be making $13 million that season and you decide you're not going to play, that's a gutsy thing to do. That's I guess if you're not married with kids, maybe the decision might be a little bit easier. But man, I know most wives would say, "Are you kidding me? You could be making $13 million, I should say." I think it's time to report, but we'll see. Jesse Bates is an important part of Lou Anarumo's defensive football team. He's an important part of the Cincinnati Bengals franchise. He's what you'd like to have, but the fact is, it can be a cold business, and decisions have to be made. Hopefully, this works out the way everybody wants it to work out. It's never easy when you're in these type of contract negotiations, and certainly he's not going to be at these type of camps because what if you roll an ankle, blow out a knee, tear an Achilles? I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. It's happened before in the history of the National Football League at these mini camps. And if you're not under contract, he has not signed the franchise tag yet. He has not signed that contract, so he's not going to get. If he doesn't show up at training camp, he doesn't get fined. If he hasn't signed the franchise tag offer, there's no fine involved. So it's going to be interesting to see how the whole thing shakes down there. But in a perfect world, I'd like to have Jesse Bates out there this year to be a mentor, if nothing else, to some of these young guys and take the pressure off them having to play more snaps as a rookie that they might have to play if Jesse Bates isn't in the mix. But, you have to cover your bases at some point in time, no matter how it all unfolds. So you have to prepare for worst case scenario and then, live the good life in the best case scenario, no doubt about it. See how it all unfolds. Wish nothing but the best for Jesse Bates. He's a heck of not only a heck of a football player, but Jesse Bates is the real deal. He's a heck of a human being.
Going to bring a question from outside the stream, Dave.
Okay.
On Twitter, Jason Love a couple days ago was asking, do you think Gronk will sign with Cincinnati? Which brings us to Hayden Hurst. What's going on to the tight end position?
Yeah, I don't see Gronk signing with Cincinnati. Gronk is a guy that's thrown Joe Burrow out there as like a potential clone of Tom Brady, which is about as high compliment as you can possibly throw out there. But Hayden Hurst, uh, this guy can run, and he came into the National Football League um, as the 27th pick of the draft, a first round draft choice to the Baltimore Ravens out of South Carolina. 5 years in the league, 6'4", 245-pound guy that can, you move. He's another one with the physical size he has and the size speed ratio he has. When you detach him, he can do some damage. He's a tough matchup. You certainly don't want to throw linebackers out there to cover him, but he's bigger and stronger, hopefully, than just about every safety that they'd have out there. So, I mean, he's another weapon that they're excited about utilizing. There's no question about it. And CJ Uzama got some great opportunities to make plays with the cast of wide receivers the Bengals have. There's no doubt about it. And credit CJ, he made the plays and he capitalized on his opportunities and got himself a nice contract to go to the New York Jets. Hayden Hurst wants to have those opportunities. He wants to capitalize on those opportunities going into the fifth year of his NFL career. He's on a 1-year show me prove it deal. So he's going to be playing in a highly motivated frame of mind. There's no question about it. And that's all. That's good. That's good for him. It's good for the football team. It's good for everybody. So Dustin, hi Dave. Even with an improved offensive line, is running wide receiver sets still setting up the quarterback to take hits? It does seem like that started to decrease. They started to decrease 5 receiver last year as the season went on. The thing is, if you have a 5 wide receiver formation, it's going to empty that box out. You're going to have fewer pass rushers. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. But the thing is, you have to be good enough to handle your one-on-one matchups, because if they bring more than 4, if they bring 5, everybody can pick up a guy. If you bring 6 and you've got all those wide receivers out there, you should be able to get the football off in a quick heartbeat and get the ball out before the unblocked guy gets to the quarterback. If routes are run properly, if the pre-snap blitz read is executed with wide receiver and quarterback seeing the same thing, being on the same page. There's sight adjust routes that every team has once they see a pre-snap blitz look at the line of scrimmage. So, it becomes a chess match. It becomes a numbers game. If you have five wides out there, theoretically, they should have not a whole lot more than 4, maybe 5 rush guys. If your offensive line is strong enough to hold up to it, you're okay. Last year, the offensive line had trouble in that regard. Now you do have to keep an extra blocker in, whether it be a tight end, slow blocking on the outside, or a back staying in the backfield for blitz pickup, and you have one less guy out of the backfield. But if you're running a 5 wide receiver set, you don't have any running back to utilize in that blitz pickup scenario. So now you have to bring somebody in like a Tyler Boyd. Or if that 5 receiver set is a detached tight end, you have to bring them in as an extra blocker. The chess match goes on. And if the offensive line is good enough to hold up and just 5 receiver packages, just hold up on their own, one-on-one, everybody able to handle it, that's the perfect world. There's no question about it. But it's going to be. I just think Joe Burrow, to do what he did last year and to rewrite the part of the record book that he rewrote while being sacked 70 times in the regular season and postseason. 70 times. 51 in the regular season, 19 in the postseason. Like I've said a few times, if we cut that down to 45 total, still go to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying 45, not from 51 to 45 in the regular season. I'm saying 71 to 45 or 40. If you can cut it down significantly, who knows? like I said, Joe Burrow at that point would have more of the field to utilize to operate. Zach Taylor, Brian Callahan, the offensive coaches could come up with ways to attack all quadrants of the football field, everywhere in the football field, with as many different route combinations as are known to man. I mean, you can get real creative, but you have to have the time to do it. And if the O-line can get that done, it could be pretty impressive. Les, hello, Big Dave. What about Tyler Shelvin from LSU? I think he could be a solid player for us. Yeah, Tyler Shelvin's another guy, Les, that like the offensive linemen that were drafted, like the offensive linemen they're drafted the year before in the second, fourth, and sixth round. Tyler Shelvin now has a year under his belt where he understands what life in the NFL is about. He understands what Coach Anarumo and Coach Hobby, the defensive line coach and defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, expect out of him. He understands the nature of you're playing in a man's league in the National Football League. You're playing against grown men. Tyler Shelvin was probably during his career at LSU, even though he played in the SEC, the highest level of competition, he didn't see as many great players. He saw more than most college players. I do believe the SEC, offensive and defensive line, when I was doing college football, in my mind, the SEC had more NFL prospects on both sides of the line of scrimmage on a school-by-school basis than anybody in the country. It was a big person's league, the SEC. It was prime for big people in college football. There's no doubt. And Tyler Shelvin came out of that, playing the Alabamas and of the world, going to LSU. So, yeah, he has traits. There's no question. Part of his maturation process is going to be conditioning. He's got to make sure that he's able to go hard for a longer number of snaps, a longer period of time, and that comes with some maturation and then just realizing that you have to adapt your game, because at the NFL level, everybody's a man. There's no weeks where you just roll your helmet and shoulder pads out there and you can dominate somebody physically. It's a week to week challenge. There's no question about it. So here we are with Klaus Lap. You have my vote for the Ring of Honor. Well, Klaus, that's very kind of you. There are 15 candidates that are up for the Ring of Honor. I think voting started yesterday, I believe. There are tons of great players on that ballot. There's no question about it. I mean, a bunch. There's every player that's on that ballot deserves to be in the Ring of Honor. You can't put everybody in there. So the two guys that are fortunate enough to be selected off this year's ballot, congratulations in advance. And everybody else, all these other great players that are on that ballot, be patient. Your time is going to come. But very few have done as much for the franchise as you. Your work for the Bengals doesn't go unnoticed. Yeah, I guess if we're talking about longevity, this will be my 37th year in the broadcast booth, and 10 as a player. So 47 total years coming up. That's I never ever dreamed that would be the path that my life would go, to be involved with an NFL team, the same NFL team, for 47 years. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. But man, literally, I'm being honest. Every night, go to bed, put the head in the pillow, and consider myself very fortunate to have had the opportunity to do that, and very thankful that the Cincinnati Bengals have given me the opportunity to do that, to be involved with the National Football League for coming up on a half a century. Sounds crazy, and it is, really. All right, Doug. Okay, we going to Doug? Okay. Klaus, Volson seems to be having a good camp. Have you got to watch him any? We welcome the competition at left guard. You think there's an early front runner? Well, the guy who lined up at the left guard position initially, Jackson Carman, who second round pick out of Clemson the year before this, and Volson is a guy that's in the mix at the left guard position. That is literally the only position that's open theoretically at this point in time. I'm telling you, watch out for Brown. If Brown ends up being, he's working at center right now, but if he ends up being what I think he might be in the interior of the offensive line, he'll get in that mix at the left guard position. One thing you certainly can't do, and I know this from experience, you have to go into training camp every year thinking you have to win your job. Every single year. If you go into training camp thinking, I got this, there's nobody that's going to take my job, man, that's the wrong mindset to be in. And Anthony Munoz, for example. Anthony Munoz, the greatest lineman I ever played with. I can tell you that, the greatest lineman I've seen. I'm being totally honest. And he went into training camp every single year with the mindset and mentality that he had to earn his job. That's part of what made him so great, is he had great God-given ability, great physical traits, but he maximized them because of his mentality, his approach to the game, the type of person he was or is. And that's what you want. You want every offensive lineman to go in thinking that you have to go out and perform at your best. You can't slide it into neutral. You can't take it for granted. You can't think this job's mine. If you line up at the number one left guard, as the number one left guard in a mini camp in the offseason, that's far from a declaration that you've been anointed. You got a lot of work left because there's going to be a competition. There's going to be a battle. And Volson's going to be involved. Like I said, the thing about Volson, the game is important with a capital I and all capital letters. The game of football means everything to the guy. And that's a powerful motivator. So don't count anybody out at this point in time. This guy was part of a heck of a program for 6 years and won 4 national championships, 5 conference championships. I mean, Volson knows what winning's about. He knows what it's going to take. He's going to be wearing number 67, by the way, 6'6", 315 pounds, North Dakota State. And they ran from a running game, the attack, 2 and 3 tight end sets, 22, 23 personnel, man, 12, 13, 22, 23, 1 and 2 backs, 2 and 3 tight ends. They pounded people in that running game. And he's athletic enough. He can move. He moves his feet pretty darn well. He looked good in the individual drills. Like I said, everybody that I was watching in that offensive line, they all belonged. I mean, nobody's like, oh, boy, that's a stiff. That guy has no chance. What the hell is he in camp for? That's a waste of time. Everybody showed that they've got the footwork to get in position to make blocks and hand placement to finish blocks. It's going to be a battle. There's no doubt. Back to Dan the Man. What player or position do you most expect a quantum leap from, performance-wise, this year? Whew. In my humble opinion, I think it's any player that is going from his first to second year, including Jamar Chase. I mean, Jamar Chase he said, we were talking to him in the locker room yesterday. I said, what are you working on? What are you going to try to do differently? I'm working on my release. I'm working on keeping my pad level lower. I'm working on using my head and shoulder fakes a little more violently to get people off of me. And I'm telling you, Jamar Chase put up numbers. But if the offensive line improves, like we think it will, Jamar Chase's numbers could improve. And if he improves as a guy releasing off the line of scrimmage more efficiently and fluidly, getting into his routes more efficiently and fluidly, Jamar Chase might put up stupid numbers. I mean, he's got the skill set to do it. And all the offensive linemen that were drafted in the 2nd, 4th, and 6th round, you're talking about Jackson Carman, you're talking about Deontay Smith, you're talking about Trey Hill, all those guys. To me, they look so much more comfortable. When you're a rookie, you literally don't know what you don't know. And then you start to figure it out. And then all of a sudden, boy, the season's over with. You come back as a second-year player, you've got a much stronger, broader foundation to start working from. So guys normally make their biggest leap professionally from their first year to their second year. So I'm looking for every player that's in that category for the Cincinnati Bengals to make significant improvement. And the ones that make the biggest improvement will have the biggest role and become the biggest factor on the season this year.
Yash over England.
All right, England. Yash, apart from that, I will say pass rush or D-line will probably post 50 sacks if Osai, Sample, Hubert, Carter are healthy and can fill the void left by Ogunjobi. Yeah, I mean, I think the pass rush was effective last year, no question about it. But I do think that the group is capable of a 50 sack season. Osai looks good. They're still taking it slow and careful with him. Man, he's been hitting the weight room. I mean, he looks impressive. Osai, he looked bigger, stronger, more physical to me. And the other guy that looked that way, I'm trying to remember who it was. Oh yeah, Noah Spence. Noah Spence looked bigger, thicker, stronger to me too. Another guy, edge guy. So there's a lot of candidates in the defensive line room, from an edge rush standpoint. A lot of different combinations, and it's going to be very intriguing to see. A lot of these guys are so athletic. I mean, Osai's main strength, and a lot of these guys' main strength, it is rushing the quarterback. But you've got guys like Sam Hubbard that you can remove from that rush spot, put him in a linebacker, put Logan Wilson in a rush spot. You can do that with Osai. You can do that with a bunch of guys. Lou Anarumo right now is literally in the laboratory like a mad scientist because he's got positionless players on the back end, on the front end, at linebacker. I mean, when you have that type of athletic versatility and positionless players at as many spots as the Bengals could put out there, you can do anything. You can invert responsibilities. You can transpose responsibilities. You don't have to substitute. Get the same 11 guys out there and have them doing different things. That's going to drive a quarterback and everybody offensively crazy, because their quote base people are out in the football field. Well, they're capable of doing a lot of things that's not their base defensive look. That's what it's all about. In the National Football League, you want to make people uncomfortable. And the first way to make people uncomfortable is mentally. When you come to the line of scrimmage and the offensive line is trying to identify the Mike linebacker and call out protections. And it's like, oh man, what are they in now? What does this look? The quarterback, same way. Geez, what do they have in the back end? What coverage are they playing? They could be playing one of three coverages because these guys can do so many different things. Even though they're lined up the way they are, Lou Anarumo can do so many things. What blitz could they could run almost any blitz in their playbook. That's when you have an advantage. You have positionless players that the opponent comes to the line of scrimmage and wants to answer all the questions properly, pass the test. You go up there and you have a bunch of unanswered questions, and then the snap of the football happens, and you're still in disarray mentally. That's a problem. That's a problem. And that's what the Bengals might have going for them next year. It's going to be fun to watch. All right. Noah the Grape. I like it. Noah the Grape. Just tuned in. The Bengals were to trade Jesse Bates. What is realistic compensation? You got to think that's got to be a viable option. You got to think about. My initial thought on trading Jesse was after this year. He plays the franchise tag, plays for $13 million, and then if they can't come to a deal, tag him again. He wouldn't like that. Although there's a quarterback by the name of Kirk Cousins that utilized the franchise tag to millions and millions of dollars. He played the franchise tag 3 times, I think, before he ultimately got the big contract. But it might be expedited. Maybe trade him to. It's happened with Wide receivers, I mean, that's what's happened in the league now. Wide receivers that are looking for the big dollar, and the team doesn't have the cap money to get it done, and can't fit it into the way they want to compensate different positions in their roster depending on what's coming up. I mean, that's the problem the Bengals are looking at. You have Joe Burrow, who could be, approaching he's going to be 40 million a year. When his contract's up, it could be closer to 50. You got two wide receivers that are probably going to be looking for 20 million a year. You have defensive backs looking for 20 million a year, and maybe Jesse Bates is one of them. I mean, you got safeties that have not just corners, safeties are now here recently, making 18, $20 million a year. It's crazy. You can't pay everybody. So what you have to do is find a team in the National Football League that has cap room and would want to pay a safety, top dollar. And then do they have anything that you would want in return? It would have to be, if there's no player involved, it would have to be a high pick. If they don't have a high pick and they don't have a player, you can't make a trade. But if they have a high pick or two, maybe it's picks for a couple of years. I mean, yeah, you'd have to explore it. But what I'm saying is, based on what we're talking about here, it ain't easy. I mean, there's not half the league's not saying I can work out a trade for Jesse Bates that the Bengals would be happy with. It takes two to tango. You have to find a trade partner, and that that's not just rolling off a log. That's not an easy thing to do. We'll see how it all works out. Doug, I wish the season was starting this weekend. I hear you, Doug. We take a vacation, or does Miss Lapham have a honeydew list for you? Well, I mean, I don't know of any woman that doesn't have a honeydew list for her husband. But I will say that my wife is very self-sufficient. So my honeydew list is very reasonable. In fact, she's really, she's had a long professional life of a guy that's been on the road some, and her role as wife and mother is different than a lot, and she does it unbelievably well. So the honeydew list is reasonable, but yeah, we'll go away as a family. We'll go to Hilton Head every summer. My wife and I went down to Florida. We'll travel to Florida right after the season, a couple of weeks after the season, get away and have some time, decompress a little bit, and catch the sun down in Florida. And Siesta Key is nice. That beach is nice down there. We'll hit that, and then follow it up in July, a little bit earlier this year in July than normal. We'll go down to Hilton Head, the entire family. My wife's got brother lives in St. Louis, and his family, and we'll all meet in Hilton Head and get a house with multiple bedrooms that'll sleep 20 some odd people. And it's it's like a day camp. I mean, it's like more than half of the people are kids at all ages. So it's a blast. It really is. And we'll do that. And then to training camp and on to another season. It's all good. All right. Bear meat at 40. Thoughts on our running back group? Who's going to take that next step? Man, the guy that I'm very interested in is Evans, honestly. I mean, Evans, I think, is he's got some talent. Chris Evans, 5'11", 211 pounds. Again, second year out of Michigan. So now you have a situation where, like I was talking about before, initially you don't know what you don't know. Then it all starts to fall into place. Evans, this guy, when he makes the decision and puts his foot in the ground and goes north and south, he's got some explosiveness now. He's got some acceleration. He runs with a low pad level. And I'm really excited to see what Joe Mixon does behind this offensive line, because, Collins, Kappa, Karras, 2 C's and a K, but the C's are hard C's. So phonetically, it all sounds like, that Collins, Kappa, Karras. Here comes Joe Mixon running behind those 3 guys, building a wall for them. That outside zone, somebody's going to get somebody positioned positively for the offense or get them on the ground or whatever. And Joe Mixon's going to bust some big runs. I think he's so excited about the potential in the running game. Collins will come downhill and control the line of scrimmage. He will hit you in the mouth. So will Kappa. It's going to be interesting to see. So Evans is a guy that intrigues me at that running back position. And of course, I know I'm prejudiced and biased or whatever, but I think Joe Mixon is as good as there is in the National Football League in terms of a complete running back, in terms of running the football, catching the football, sticking his nose in there and blitz pickup and protections. And he is, I'm telling this guy in the workout on Tuesday, he is the straw that stirs the drink in terms of bringing the energy, the enthusiasm. I mean, and you really appreciate it in the grind of the season. You get into the later stages of the season, like end of November, and here comes December. Now you're into January, and heck, you don't play the Super Bowl till the middle of February. Last year, the longest season in NFL history. You need somebody who brings the juice. Every single day is the guy that you can count on to have a high level of energy. That is Joe Mixon, and he that role he fills as well as anybody, in my opinion, in the National Football League. Zevi, how do you feel about being a candidate to the Ring of Honor? Honored, to say the least. Humbled, honored, unbelievably fortunate. Just, it's your first dream when you start playing football. I remember going to high school football games, and I remember watching Mike Martello, running back for Wakefield High School, and then I'd watch Dave Karsha, who was an offensive and defensive lineman and put the shot and did all these things in high school. And I watched this guy, and I want to be like Dave Karsha, man. That's what I'm hoping for. I knew I wasn't going to be a Mike Martello type, but I was hoping I'd be a Dave. So you have these high school heroes when you're a young kid going to high school games. Then you end up playing high school football, and you're lucky enough to play. And then you're watching college football, and you start picking out players. And man, I really respect this guy's low. I really respect that guy. Boy, if I could just get a chance to play college football, and then fortunate enough to get a scholarship to go play college football and play that, and then you boy, if I could just maybe, start as a young player here at school, and just, it's like what football has done for me. It's like, it's been a lesson in goal setting, and what you do. I approach it where you always have a pie in the sky goal. My pie in the sky, was like professional football, but along the way, you have intermediate goals that you reward yourself with. So it's like, okay, well, I remember watching, the Colts and the Giants when I was 8 years old with my granddad, and I remember saying to him, I vividly remember looking at my granddad and saying, "I'm going to do that someday, Gramp." He patted me in the head. He said, "Yeah, kid, yeah. All right, would you go get me a beer?" "Okay, Gramp." So I go grab him a beer, and it's like, he was one of the first people I contacted when I got drafted because, hey, guess what? It worked. So you have that pie in the sky goal, but along the way, high school football, college football, other sports that you're involved with. So you're achieving goals along the way where you're climbing the ladder of one rung of success, one rung at a time. And here you come almost to the top, and there's no seat at the top of the ladder of success, but you're getting there, and then you got to perform as best you can. And that's kind of how the path unfolded, I think, for me, thinking about playing professional football. And then all the things we're talking, the Ring of Honor. I mean, who never thought about anything like that. So yeah, it's I guess I'll be telling my Gramp in my prayers that, what, Gramp, I'm a candidate for the Ring of Honor. I'm sure he'd pat me in the head again and say, "Get a beer, would you, boy?" All right, Dolores, here we go. Hey, Dave and Dave, what do you think of our schedule? Which matchup are you looking forward to covering? Hell, with success comes challenges. In the National Football League, it's built on the better you do, the tougher your schedule is going to be. And the Cincinnati Bengals, I think they have the third toughest schedule in terms of win-loss percentage in 2021 in the National Football League. So that's not a stunning development when you think that they went to the Super Bowl. But yeah, just some notes on the schedule. 4 of the first 6 games are on the road, so they're going to be challenged and find out what kind of a team they are in terms of being able to travel effectively. This is an interesting scenario for me. September 29th, Miami Dolphins, Thursday night, Prime Video, nationally televised game. The following game at Baltimore on Sunday night. So it's a long week, but it's back-to-back nationally televised games. The second game of the year, 4:25. The Bengals have 5 nationally televised games, 3 piggyback doubleheader games at 4:25, which are literally nationally televised games as well. So almost half their schedule, they're on different days, different times of the day, and that's the challenge. They've only got back-to-back Sunday at 1 p.m. kickoffs one time all year long, and that's October 16th at New Orleans, who I think is much improved. You got to stay off Bourbon Street, make sure you're ready to play, you're rested and ready to play on Sunday. Bourbon Street's a big attraction to young guys, there's no doubt about it. They play the Saints at 1 o'clock on Sunday on CBS, and then the Falcons in Cincinnati, 1 o'clock on Fox the following week. That's the only time they have back-to-back 1 o'clock kickoffs on Sunday. So they play Thursday night. They play Saturday afternoon on Christmas Eve at 1 o'clock. They play Sunday at 1 o'clock, Sunday at 4:30, Sunday at 8:20, Monday night football. They have 2 Sunday night games, 2 Monday night games, a Thursday night game. So the bottom line is the players have to be accountable. They have to be reliable. I mean, they have to make sacrifices. They have to train their bodies properly. You have to have proper diet, proper nutrition, proper rest. You have to make some sacrifices because there's going to be short weeks. There's going to be long weeks. There's going to be the only time where they have the same week, like I said, back-to-back Sunday games at 1 o'clock is in October, middle of October. I mean, it's crazy. But to me, down the stretch, the second half of the season, the last 8 games of the season are all challenges. And fortunately, they play 4 of their last 6 games at home, which is going to be, if they're in the playoff hunt, playing at home should be a big attraction, big factor for them. But they play the Steelers on Sunday Night Football in Pittsburgh after the bye week, November 20th, 27th at Tennessee, at the Titans. Last time they were there, they gave up 9 quarterback sacks. That's a 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Then they play the Kansas City Chiefs December 4th at 4:25. Mahomes on a piggyback doubleheader. They get the Cleveland Browns in Cincinnati at 1 o'clock. Then they have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down there at 4:25. Tom Brady on another piggyback doubleheader game. Then they have the Patriots at 1 o'clock in New England. And Jones, all the guy did was take his team to the playoffs and make the Pro Bowl as a rookie at quarterback. Allen with the Buffalo Bills, Monday Night Football in Cincinnati, and then they finish against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. So in my mind, 2 games, it's theoretically the Buffalo Bills on Monday night, followed up by the Baltimore Ravens, back-to-back games in Cincinnati. Monday Night Football, short week, play the Ravens. Lamar Jackson could decide the AFC North, what type of a seed you have going to the playoffs. If you have to take it one game at a time, put yourself in position to do that. But those 2 games to finish have a whole bunch of intrigue. But the last 8 games after the bye week in the Bengals schedule, it's a gauntlet. It's a meat grinder. No question about it. It ain't easy.
Dave, I got to mention, we want to talk about, we got some great guests coming up the next several days, this week and the rest of next week. Chris Collinsworth, we did late yesterday.
Yes.
That'll be coming up. He talks about those games on NBC and
Yep.
a lot of the stuff, the Bengals, and how he got stopped in the airport by some lady who thinks he hates Joe Burrow. So
Yeah.
you want to see that. We also got to thank everybody at First Star Logistics for what they do for us. And then we've got about 5 minutes left. So we're going to kind of run through what we got here in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, we've got on top of what Dave mentioned with Chris Collinsworth coming up. And I tell you what, I got to give my former teammate a big plug because Chris Collinsworth is a busy man, to say the least. And for him to carve 45 minutes for us for a podcast, I tell you what, means a lot to a former teammate for Chris Collinsworth to spend the time that he spent talking about everything that he talked about. And unbelievable success story. Chris Collinsworth is a football player, businessman, broadcaster, you name it. The guy's done it and done it at a very high level. And we've got Mike Hilton coming up, DJ Reader coming up. So we had a lot of players coming up to with interviews here through this week and into next week. We got some of the rookie defensive backs we're going to be talking to. Dax Hill is going to be coming up very shortly. We talk to him tomorrow. So it's going to be fun. Join us, participate. It's all good. So we're going to go to Les. Another player I really love is Akeem Davis-Gaither. Very smart, very quick. I love that pick when he got drafted out of Appalachian State. Too bad he got hurt. He was playing so well for us. Les, you're right. This guy is another player that Lou Anarumo will be using as some sort of a catalyst in a formula in his lab. This guy can run. This guy's another guy that Lou Anarumo has used him as a spy on Lamar Jackson and other quarterbacks. So you got spies at the in the defensive line level. You can utilize Sam Hubbard in that regard. Linebacker level, secondary level. All these young defensive backs that have been drafted can run. You got two guys that run 4.36 and two guys that run 4.38. What? I mean, the team speed for the Cincinnati Bengals has increased dramatically. I mean, big time. And one guy that's smiling about that is a trickle-down effect. Whenever a football team can run, that means your offense, defense has good team speed. Your special teams will have good team speed. There's a trickle-down effect there. Darren Simmons just got a lot faster in his special teams personnel grouping. So it's going to be interesting to see how the coaches utilize all that speed. And Akeem Davis-Gaither, a big factor with Darren Simmons as well. He plays a huge role in special teams with the way he can run with the big body that he has. And you're right, losing him was a blow. He gives you something unique. There's no question.
Hard question here, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
John wants to know which booth has the best food.
Which booth? The booths don't. The cafeterias do, John. There's the thing. I'm a seafood guy because I'm from the East originally, and I like myself, some lobsters and shrimp and whatever. And Baltimore Ravens have crab cakes, and it's not crab cakes where there's just a little bit of crab and a lot of filler. We're talking a good bit of crab now and just a little filling. So we're talking about crab cakes that are amongst the best crab cakes you can sink your teeth into. So I do look forward to the Baltimore Ravens serving those crab cakes. And when they don't, for whatever reason, those crab cakes aren't on the menu when we go through the cafeteria line there up in the press box, there's definitely some disappointment. But Kansas City, you go there, you're going to get some good barbecue now. Kansas City is known for their barbecue, and the broadcast people that take advantage of it up at the press box in Kansas City, it's no joke up there either, boy. They'll take care of you there. So every area is known for something, and they've got their own little regional cuisine that they're proud of. So it's fun. It's fun. You get to sample a whole bunch of everything. And honestly, we go to New Orleans this year. Come on now, go down to New Orleans. It's like a Mardi Gras for your palate. There's some good grub down there. It's like you're at the Mardi Gras. There's no question. I'm looking forward to the New Orleans cuisine this year down there in the press box.
Boss Man Junior 7.
I wish the Bengals would have taken a bigger running back. I'll tell you what, Joe Mixon's plenty big. I mean, Joe Mixon, most defenses that you talk to around the National Football League, they respect Joe Mixon's size. Joe Mixon has a pretty good size-speed ratio in terms of physicality and respect of that physicality around the National Football League. But there's always one thing about Paul Brown that I'll agree with you. Paul Brown's mentality, his philosophy was to have one, got to have a big running back, all the way back to Marion Motley. We had Charles Booby Clark, in the early years of my career in the National Football League. We had Pete Johnson. Paul Brown believed in that big running back. There's no question about it. Felt like it would wear down opposing defenses. But the thing is, I think what Joe provides, not just the size, but again, the complete back aspect of it. Pete Johnson was a good catch of the football, though. He was a pretty good receiver. Booby Clark was too. Booby Clark was a tight end at Bethune-Cookman. Paul Brown looked at and said, "You're going to be my big back. You're going to be my fullback, big back kind of guy." So yeah, there's always room for a big running back. There's no question. So I just want to thank everybody who took the time to be with us today and participate. Please hit the like button and subscribe if not already a subscriber to help us grow the channel. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we certainly do appreciate First Star Logistics for giving us the opportunity to interact. And, I always learn something doing these things with knowledgeable football fans like yourselves. So thanks for taking time out of your day to help us brighten ours and to learn something. Have the best day you ever had. Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.